Here is the map of Gaza according to the Arab proposal. You have the Rafah, firstly, more crossings here, as we can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then a direct road from the Rafah crossing all the way up to Beit Hanun, and then there's another crossing here. All of those areas in gray are an extension of Gaza. They're going to use all of the rubble from the destruction, and they're going to create an extension of Gaza, increasing the capacity of Gaza. And these regions here, well, one of them will include the seaport, one of them will include a land of investment. There will be an airport towards this area where the previous Gaza airport was, and there will be technology cities, schools, universities, new mosques, new churches, buildings to house the population based on however many there are in each location, based on the geographical needs, the geographical capacity, the population numbers inside of Gaza, all of them. Again, all of that is paperwork now, of course, some also AI generated images of how things would look like. All nice and beautiful, but all envisioning the future, and not the so far future. We're talking about 5 years. Now, seeing as, and that's where we link what Donald Trump said before to the proposal that came from the Arab states and what's likely to happen. Well, to clarify, Donald Trump already told Benjamin Netanyahu, we're going to buy Gaza. He later said, no, we're not going to buy it, we're just going to take it. However, Benjamin Netanyahu did not challenge the notion that Donald Trump will be controlling Gaza. Not to assume that this will succeed on the ground, by the way. That's a separate story. However, there's something interesting here. There was no objection. There was no objection from Benjamin Netanyahu to Donald Trump's plan to completely control Gaza. What does that mean? Well, that means all of his radical allies who are having these delusions of, new settlements in Gaza, all of that is out of the way. And also, if Donald Trump is talking about him having Gaza, well, any attack would have to go through Donald Trump, right? Unless I'm missing something. Donald Trump, if he's telling Benjamin Netanyahu, we're going to control Gaza, it doesn't matter how that's going to be coordinated between them and the Palestinians. And guess what? They're speaking with Hamas directly. They're not even speaking with the Palestinian Authority. They're not speaking with the Arabs. They're speaking with Hamas, which signals also another very important thing, that they actually believe that Hamas will undeniably play a role in Gaza in the day after, contrary to all of the previous comments from the United States. That's a very clear sign. Therefore, they're negotiating with them directly. So, could there be a case of a United States understanding with Hamas, the primary main powerful political party in Gaza, democratically elected, by the way, for those of you who don't know, they have having direct communication with the United States, direct coordination with the United States. The same United States that supports Israel. Are they pulling the rug from underneath Benjamin Netanyahu with this move? Things are still not very certain. However, the fact that the negotiations are taking place is something extremely significant on its own. Another very important note here. Well, you might ask, why didn't they keep them secret? if they want to talk with Hamas and they've been BSing the global population with their garbage propaganda for the past year and a half about Hamas, and now they're sitting and talking to them, why don't you just be quiet and speak with them quietly? And if there's something, maybe publish it later on. Why? You've been telling everyone these evildoers and then this and that, and you're sitting there talking to them. That's a message. That's also a message. That's a message for everyone. Number one, their closest ally, Israel. Yeah, we supported you, we give you this and that, but if we want to take a certain action, then we will. Also shows, like we said with the point 2 that we spoke about previously, show of disapproval or a lack of satisfaction from how things are progressing with Israel. And that means that there could be implications in the future. Now, if the United States will manage to reach a deal with Hamas in Gaza, can Israel do anything about that? In theory, they can. On the ground, it would still be very, very difficult for them to do something inside of Gaza if any solution in Gaza, whether as a part of a bigger solution towards statehood, a temporary state or something close to a temporary state, it would be very difficult to do that if the United States administration has links with the authority in Gaza, links that are solid. If Israel is still relying on the United States as heavily as it does now. And Israel will find it very difficult to find a different country that would support it to the same level that the United States supported it. However, even with that support from the United States, and this shows you how extreme Israel is as a state and how far off they are, they will find it very difficult. But what they're doing now is, well, they're having more talks. Now with the new appointment of the IDF chief of staff, more talks are coming from Israel and from Benjamin Netanyahu himself too, that we're going to focus now on, increasing our productivity, and we don't want to rely on too many countries abroad. We want to have our own productivity. We want to have a manufacturing of all of our weapons. This was something that Israel started to mention from a few months into the war, signaling that they don't want to even rely on the United States too much. And the United States is also witnessing what's happening in Israel. I mean, Donald Trump himself, he knows that Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't have a long time left. Benjamin Netanyahu, at most, will be the prime minister up until 2026. We're still early in 2025. He's trying to buy more time. He's appointing people in the ceasefire negotiations and in the political and military establishments in Israel to play with his timeline. He stretched the war so far anyway for his own agenda and for his own interests, simply to remain in power and simply to put down as much authority as possible and make everyone abide by him. The United States is seeing that, and this escalation is not even stopping. In Israel, we had another report. That's the second thing that I want to talk to you about, and then I'll open the space up for the community. Yariv Levin, the mastermind behind the judicial reform, he began the process of impeaching and dismissing the ombudsman. He's bringing government resolution for ministerial approval to begin the process of ousting the legal advisor to the government. The resolution essentially asks ministers to vote no confidence against the advisor and begin the process of ousting her. This is a small example of what Israel is preparing for the Supreme Court. This is what they wanted to do with the Supreme Court in Israel, and still want to do it. They want to sack everyone from the Supreme Court, not allow the Supreme Court having any sort of independence, completely obliterate the principle of the division of authorities or separation of authorities inside of the state, technically allowing Benjamin Netanyahu and very, very few confidants or yes men to dictate exactly who's going to control Israel and who's going to be the head of the judicial system in Israel. And that's something that many Israelis are against. And that's something that led many to start refusing to serve in the Israeli army. And I'm talking about a year before the 7th of October. That's something that led to the biggest protests in the history of the state of Israel. That's something that led many people to flee Israel. That's something that led many, many very rich and powerful figures inside of Israel take their money outside of the state. Yet, despite all of that, Benjamin Netanyahu and his crew are still going ahead with it. It's as if they are pressing every button to obliterate their state from within. Social division, political division, military division, no trust between the population themselves, no trust of the population in the authorities, constant propaganda roaming around, and thinking that they can get away with it and become this, detached entity that can do whatever it wants with complete impunity, and constantly still, with all audacity, use their victimhood card. Today I heard one of their most cherished actors, Gadot, right? She was speaking, I think, with the ADL in the US, saying, I don't know why all of this hate towards us. I'm coming here as an Israeli Jew and I don't understand why all of this hate towards us. 2 tears almost went down from my eyes. They want to slaughter children and everyone, clapping for them. Yeah, sure, let's kill a few, a couple of thousand infants, newborns, and let the world clap. Well, why do they hate us? Why do they hate us?